Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to appreciate for a moment that this hearing my Republican colleagues have called is about incompetence and failure of our federal government, when failure is exactly what they want to happen. Incompetence is their MO. The same Congress that can't pass a rules vote, can't pass a government funding bill, coming after the administration that has actually passed historic pieces of legislation like CHIPS and science and the Inflation Reduction Act and the infrastructure bill and an actually productive Congress. But when we talk about keeping the government functioning, let's be real. The people who are actually keeping things afloat are not my colleagues, thank God. And it's not even the president. It's our federal workforce. It's the hardworking career professionals across our agencies that work to improve our air quality and our water quality. They work to ensure that our medications are safe to take, that Social Security checks get to folks on time, and that our veterans can live with dignity and comfort after their service. These are regular folks who know how to get their job done day in and day out to serve the American people. There's a reason why these people are career professionals. There's a reason why they're not partisan shills. They have the right experience and knowledge to properly do their jobs. Yet Trump and the Republican Project 2025, whoever wrote it, whoever endorses it, it exists, wants to get rid of these workers and replace them with people whose only qualification is their loyalty and their financial support to Donald Trump. So while I would argue that my colleagues in the minority have in the majority have not proven competence, dismantling our government agencies is not incompetence, it's intentional. They're purposefully creating dysfunction. We've seen this in action as money pours into our elections, as our Supreme Court justices are wined and dined, and then given increasingly radical rulings. And now with their plan to gut these federal agencies and fill them with partisan hacks. They are purposefully shifting the balance of power to one man, Donald Trump, the same man who promised to be a dictator on day one, his words. So, Ms. Perryman, when we talk about replacing these career federal workers with Trump loyalists, who is actually benefiting? And if it's not the American people, then who do we see gaining the most from these policies?
I'm glad that you have raised this, especially in this committee where there's been a lot of conversation about waste, fraud, and abuse, because what we know is that when governments function without a career civil service, when governments function with high levels of appointees that have to be loyal to a particular ideology as opposed to our Constitution and to the American people, they're actually less efficient and more prone to corruption and waste, fraud, and abuse. So I think that the American people are the ones that lose out from Schedule F policies, and I think on the question of the Biden-Harris record, we do know that this is an administration that has promulgated a final rule in order to help protect our civil service.
Thank you. So while we're on the topic of loyalists, I'd like to talk about one of the Republican witnesses, Ms. Gunasakura. She is the author of Project 2025's EPA chapter. She was also a top official at the EPA during the Trump administration, and word on the streets is that she might head the agency during a future Trump term. And what is her vision for the EPA? She wants to dismantle it, and so that the EPA goes easy on corporate polluters. She wants to make our air and our water less safe. She wants to place fewer regulations on greenhouse gases, endangering public health and driving climate change. She's also called the threats of climate change, quote, overstated. She laid out all of this in her chapter for Project 25. It's on page 417. Ms. Perryman, what damage can be done if these harmful policies are unleashed at the EPA?
We know that it will make Americans less safe. It will make our world less safe. But we also know, and there was a Scientific American article recently about this that we can submit to the committee, that there are scientists in the United States government today that are dusting off their resumes, that are already concerned about being purged for their loyalty to facts and evidence and to the American people. And so I think this presents more than just a single policy concern, but really a broader overall problem for the American people and for the safety of our world.
So let's be clear. This whole plan is another attempt to buy out our democracy. That's why Big Oil met with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. These corporations want less regulation. They want less government oversight. Dismantling our federal workforce makes that easier. These huge corporations pour money into our elections, and they lavish our Supreme Court justices with gifts, and now they want to buy out our federal agencies. Our federal government has jobs to do and the American people to serve. They cannot do that if they are staffed with partisan hacks. And that, I would argue, is the true incompetence and danger that we are facing, not the incompetence of actually getting things done. Thank you so much, and I yield back.